I am Abdul Hadi Hashim from KMA College of Architecture, and the topic taken for the research is the role of prefabricated modular structures in disaster management. As far as Kerala is concerned, Kerala faces disasters for the past several years, mainly floods and landslides, and these disasters have created a large impact in the society, and many have lost their lives and properties. So at this stage, Kerala lacks in providing proper shelter systems during disaster management, which makes the whole rehabilitation process less effective and time consuming. The importance of these temporary shelter systems comes in the immediate aftermath of the disaster, and if these temporary shelter systems are properly executed, it can reduce the impact of the disasters and also provides better livable spaces for the disaster struck people until a permanent solution is carried out. So the topic explores on the role of prefabricated modular structures in disaster rehabilitation. Now coming to the central research question, how prefabricated modular structure systems can be used in creating livable space for different phases of disaster rehabilitation process. And the main aim of the research is to study the possible improvements in various phases of disaster rehabilitation with prefabricated modular structures. The main aim of the literature review is to find out the importance and role of prefabricated modular structures in disaster management and various application and examples of temporary shelters around the world during a disaster. So the first part of the literature review is a study on disasters and its types, which includes various recurrent disasters happening in India and its impact on the society, economy and life of the people. Once this part is over, different stages of disaster management is discussed, namely mitigation process, preparedness in disaster management, response systems after disaster and rehabilitation process. Now elaborating on the rehabilitation process, it is divided into three phases. These three phases are studied in detail and further analyzed to know which phase requires more involvement of temporary structures. From here, the role of prefabricated construction is explored and the best possibilities are taken. This study shows us that the role of prefabricated structures is very important and necessary in the second phase of the disaster management and for multiple construction in the reconstruction process. Literature case study is carried out on the basis of existing modular prefab units used in disaster management by authorities around the world, and these units are analyzed more for better improvements. The literature case studies done in the research are Paper Log House by Shigeru Ban, IKEA Flat Pack Shelter Systems, and Flat Stack Container Solutions in Japan. As an inference from the literature review, we can come to an understanding that the disaster management and rehabilitation process could be made more easier and faster with advancement in technology, innovation and exploration of materials. Certain materials such as containers, sandbags, cardboard tubes, fiberboards and bamboo are really effective in creating fast structures for rehabilitation and incubating people from disaster zones. The knowledge gap of the study is that around the world there are many examples of optimum shelter systems which has to be analyzed and applied in our context. Throughout my research, I have analyzed few good examples of temporary shelter systems. Once the analyzing part is over, the best possible improvements in terms of materials is provided according to Kerala's present situation. Therefore, the study provides a systematic manner for gathering information and details towards providing optimum temporary shelter systems for Kerala with prefabricated modular structures. This chapter presents the methodology that was followed to complete the dissertation objective. So the first part of the study goes on with identifying different disaster management systems around the world and also analyzing different stages and phases of disaster management as mentioned in the literature review. Once this part of the study is done, the research goes to the second part, that is exploring the role of prefabricated modular structures in each phase of the disaster management. Further, the literature case study is done on existing examples to know the manner of the shelter system. This step-by-step process gives us the overall information on how a temporary shelter should be and its importance, and also the role of prefabricated structures in creating better shelter systems. After this process, I have analyzed the existing system in Kerala's context with qualitative aspects for optimum solution. From this, I have come out with various improvement possibilities in terms of materials during disasters in Kerala, which can provide with various better options for temporary shelter solutions and thus decreasing the impact of the disasters. In the results chapter, the shelter systems mentioned in the literature case study is taken into consideration, and further these shelter units are analyzed with respect to the qualitative aspects for optimum shelter system in Kerala's context, which are mainly climate, availability of materials, stackability, transportability, ease or speed of construction and assembly, foundation, modifiability, durability, sustainability, cost feasibility, structural stability, involvement of public, use of machinery, portability, mass construction, thermal insulation, dismantling possibilities, and skilled labor requirements. So first, while analyzing the paper log house by Shigeru Ban with respect to the qualitative aspects, we can come to a conclusion that cardboard tubes are not suitable for Kerala's climate, so making it less durable. Therefore, replacing the cardboard tubes with bamboo will increase the efficiency of the model greatly, as bamboo can withstand external forces better than cardboard tubes and is also very durable. While considering the flat stack container solutions used in Japan floods, it requires the use of heavy machinery and skilled labor for setting it up, which is a drawback as it makes it difficult during a disaster. As the shelter unit is heavy, transportation will be difficult. Therefore, EPS sandwich panels provides a feasible solution to these problems without the extra cost of machinery and labor. And these EPS panels can be used in the same mechanism of the flat stack container solutions. While considering the IKEA flat pack shelter systems, in Kerala's context, it cannot withstand very harsh climatic conditions due to the lack of structural stability. Therefore, polycarbonate panels can be a better alternative material to be used in the system for better stability and also better solution with respect to other qualitative aspects. The GFRG panels is very suitable to be used during the second and third phase of the disaster management, because the construction can be carried out at high speeds with low cost using the GFRG panels, which is very important when rehabilitating disaster affected people during and after a disaster. It is also a good solution for the mass construction process during disaster rehabilitation, including makeshift hospitals and mass housing projects. In the discussion chapter, what I would like to mention is that during a disaster, the affected people lose almost everything except their life. These people require mental, physical, and material rehabilitation due to the huge loss brought in by the disaster. The most necessary need after medication and food is a proper shelter. In the event of a disaster, time is a very limited resource, and so the rehabilitation process is a difficult task. The only feasible option is to build temporary shelters for the affected population. This is where the prefab gains significance. Prefab shelter systems can be very easily used during disasters during the second and third phases of its management. Ease in setup and construction in a short period of time makes it appropriate for the task. Materials such as polycarbonate, EPS sandwich panels, and GFRG panels are the main striking developments in this paper to support the main aim of this study. These materials are used in permanent structures, but this study focuses on its role in creating very feasible temporary shelters. The use of these mentioned materials will pave the way of new developments in this area of materials and other developments in proper shelter systems. As a conclusion, as any shelter must do within the limits of what's affordable, temporary shelters should be constructed quickly and simply while encouraging local participation and having the ability to mitigate damages from the future events. Temporary structures are the most important aspect as far as a disaster is concerned for the better safety of the disaster-struck population. Therefore, more solutions could be discovered in terms of materials used and its implementation and processes. So this research paper has stated a systematic procedure to develop an optimum disaster management shelter. Based on this system, an apt model has to be developed for Kerala's recurring disasters. Further, the studies needs to be conducted on materials, mechanisms and designs based on the qualitative aspects mentioned above with respect to Kerala. Thank you.